Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gassy Jack Gear Reviews. Thanks for tuning in, and if you're a subscriber, thank you so much. If you're not a subscriber, why don't you have a look at a few of the videos and see if it's anything that you like, and if you do, please subscribe. Anyway, before we get to it, I do want to go over some talking points that I want to keep consistent throughout the videos. I'm not going to go through them all, but I'm just going to let you kind of read them. So I'll do that quickly. I'm just going to move this up. I want to keep things consistent. So these are kind of going to be the points that we're going to go over through the videos. If there's anything here that you don't see that you would like discussed in watch videos, please do let me know in the comments section, and I'll try to get to that because I do want to continue improving the videos and listen to the viewers. So without further ado, wristwatch check. We have the Casio F91W. This thing, believe it or not, for what, a $15 watch, this thing gets a lot of wrist time. And I'll do a whole other review on that and let you know exactly why, because you might say, a $15 watch, why is it getting so much wristwatch time? That's for another video. For this video, we are looking at the SKX by Seiko. This is the 009 version, the K version, which is the Malaysian version. There's the Japan model as well, the Japan domestic model. That would say Japan on the dial. This does not, so we know it's a Malaysian model. And you're probably looking at this, and if you're familiar with SKS, that's a firearm I'm going to do a review on. This is an SKX by Seiko, not a Russian military firearm. But if you're into firearms, take a look at the channel again. Like I said, this is the 009 model, or at least it was when it started out. I'm just going to go through some of the dimensions here for any newbies here. It's a 42.5 millimeter from side to side, not including the crown there. It's 22 millimeter lug width, okay, and it's 46 millimeters from lug to lug. It's got a screw down case back. You're not going to be able to really see it, but let me see here. I'm going to open this up. The tsunami wave. Let me see if I can get a better lit view of that. Oh, it's a little difficult. Oh, okay. The tsunami wave. There we go. On the case back, screw down, of course, for being a diver's watch, it's going to have a screw down case back. It's 200 meter water resistance, and that is ISO 6425 certified diver. Okay, I believe if it says divers on it, divers 200. If it says divers, I believe it is at ISO certified. The case is made from 316L stainless steel, and it's finely brushed on the top of the lugs here, but all of the sides are polished. Now, I'm not a huge fan of polished anything really on a tool watch, but when it has curved edges, I think it's a lot better as far as not showing fingerprints and things like that. If you get these flat edges watches that are polished, they're just magnets for fingerprints, but this isn't too bad, so I can live with the polished the sides on that. The history of this watch, the SKX kind of, I guess you could say it started in 1965 when they introduced the 6217-8000 and 8001, often referred to as the 62 MAS or MAS. That was Seiko's first mechanical dive watch, and I believe it was actually Seiko's first sports watch, if I'm not mistaken. And that watch was rated at 150 meters depth. That watch was in production for 3 years, okay, before it was replaced by the 6105 series of divers watches. And the 6105, sorry, that ceased production in 1977, but not before it was adopted by many U.S. soldiers that were deployed to Vietnam. And that watch, I should say, was, some would say, immortalized in the film Apocalypse Now by Captain Willard, played by Martin Sheen. And yada, yada, yada. There were several divers models until 1996, when the 7S26 series of watches was introduced, including the SKX007, the 009, the 011, the 171, 173, 175, etc. This movement, of course, has the 7S26. It's a 21 jewel. Beats at 21,600 beats per hour. Now it's non-hand winding, so it's an automatic, so you shake it to get it started, but it's not, you can't wind it up to top it up or anything like that. That does nothing for you. You can wind it all day long. It's not going to do anything. You just shake it, and that's how it actually winds. Okay? It's not like some of the other Seikos, like the Seiko Sumo or anything like that. It's non-hand winding and non-hackable, so you cannot stop that second hand. So as far as setting the watch, you're not going to get, without lucking out, you're not going to get it set accurately to atomic time or anything like that, unless it's just by fluke. And it's got approximately 44-hour power reserve. And I want to say it is all Seikos now, but you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say it's all Seikos that have the Seiko Diashock system. Like I said, I believe all of them have it now. Now the Diashock system protects the balance shaft against impacts, and it helps retain the accuracy. And speaking of accuracy, the 7S26 is supposed to get between plus 40 and negative 20 seconds per day, and I have no idea what this is getting. I've had some watches tested. I don't have the machine to test it, but I know a very good watch repair guy. He was trained in Switzerland at the age of 15, and he's about 75 now. He's got all the goodies, and he's local, and he's very inexpensive, which is awesome. He hates working on Seikos, though. He's an old school guy, and he, if you get him talking about it, he just, he gets pretty ramped up, and he does not like modern watches. He doesn't like any modern watches. So, I take everything he says with a grain of salt because of that. It's like when my dad, this Ford is horrible, horrible. And he's going on about Ford because, bad experience he had in 1965. So, like I said, but he's got all the equipment, this guy, so that's all that really counts as far as the testing goes. So I don't know what this one's getting. I don't really care, to be honest, because I change watches every day. I very rarely will you see a watch on my wrist unless I'm away somewhere that's on my wrist for more than a day at a time. Now the dial on this, now it looks black. I believe it's actually dark blue. It's almost like a matte black, but I'm pretty sure it's dark blue. Now the markers are non-outlined. They're not outlined like some or most that you see outlined in metal, but they are Lumibright. Seiko's proprietary Lumibright, which is super bright. I'm not going to turn the lights off because I'll knock everything over and scream and yell and swear, and I don't want to do that enough in my own life. It's got that nice inverted triangle, the 12 o'clock, oblong at the 6 and the 9, and then the date wheel, day and date at the 3 o'clock. And that's not outlined, as you can see. But I think it suits it being not outlined. I mean, that the markers aren't outlined. What is outlined are the hands, and they're beautifully done. I didn't mod those because I really like them, but it is a bit odd when you think about it against everything else that's non-outlined, like the markers, and then all of a sudden the hands are. Get up close and personal. Okay, where am I in this? The second's track. You can see along the chapter ring there, the inside, the outside of the inside. It's non-loomed, it's just white paint on a plastic chapter ring, nothing special. Now, it came with Seiko's hard Lex crystal. And it's a great crystal. It's harder than mineral glass. It's not as hard as sapphire. This is sapphire. This is from Crystal Times. It's a kind of like a slightly blue tinted. You can see it's picking up the blue in the reflection, especially around those edges. See if we can get that around the edges again. Kind of see that. There you go. There you go. And it's beautiful. Slightly domed. Okay. Now, there's an argument that would say the Hardlex is better for a dive watch because Hardlex is more shatterproof than sapphire and mineral glass. And I think that's probably why they do that. They put that Hardlex, well, they put them in all of them, so maybe I shouldn't even say that. But the Hardlex is a great crystal for a dive watch. Some might say better than sapphire because it's, you know, more shatterproof, where sapphire is more scratch-proof. But what would you rather have in a dive watch? I'd say shatterproof. So, argue about it in the comments below. Now the bezel originally was a Pepsi bezel, anodized aluminum, and I put this one in here, and this is a ceramic bezel that I got from DL Watches, and I really like them. They make really good bezel inserts for these watches and other Seiko watches for a good price. Let's see if I can get that nice and clean and pretty. It's very reflective, much like the watch that is an homage to the Submariner, the new Submariners anyway. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. It's a 120 click unidirectional bezel. Not the greatest. Okay, not even close to being the greatest. But it's robust. It's a tough watch. And I'm not a diver. And I've said this in other videos. I do not dive, not even close. If you want to see something funny, you know, throw me in the water. I look like a cat trying to get out. Okay, so I don't use this as a dive watch. I just use this as an everyday watch, so I'll get into that later. The strap came with the Jubilee. It's a 22 millimeter. Came with the Jubilee, and it's beautiful looking, but the Jubilee, this is not the Jubilee, okay? This is a replacement, but the Jubilee, the stock strap, it's really loose, it's back and forth, it wobbles, it almost falls over. And there is a different one from Strapcode, and it's a beautiful Jubilee. I've seen videos on it, and I would totally recommend, if you want to stick with the Jubilee, get that one from Strapcode. It's about $100. This I got from Strapcode as well. This is a fully brushed, and I love fully brushed. Love fully brushed bracelets. Okay, you can buff them out. This had scratches from desk diving. I buffed this out on some, I forget how many grit sandpaper. It's just greasy from these, but it easily buffs out. This was about $100 too. And the reason I went for this particular one out of that lineup of oyster straps is the diver's extension. So this here, the first one, opens it up. And look at that. What do you get for $100? You kidding me? It's solid. It's nice. Okay. And then this here, these little ones back there, you grab them and you just kind of, you don't push them in, you just kind of pull them and it opens up. And you don't have to take the watch off. Okay. I'll just put that on right now. Let me just take my Casio off. The one that gets probably the most wrist time out of any watch that I have right now. And I don't know if it's just because I haven't had it for that long or because I just don't care if anything happens to it. And it's low profile. I shouldn't say too much. I'm going to do a review on that. I don't give it all away. Okay, so on my almost 7-inch girlish wrists, look at that. They're hairy. They look like a young Dutch girl's wrists. Don't you think? Huh? Anyway. 22 millimeters. Now, it normally either comes on a black rubber strap, and I haven't seen one of those up close and personal, or the Jubilee. Like I said, there's tons of options out here for everything. I don't care if you're talking about hands, dials, bezels, bezel inserts. I mean, it's got to be the most moddable watch out there, really. So I have, if I go over it, I have the crystal, the insert. It's the original bezel, but the bezel insert's new, and then the bracelet. I actually have a Stabe mesh bracelet, super, super thick. And I'll be honest, I put it on, I even had that on tonight because I was going to change it over. And I'll do another video with that, I think, a short video just showing both of them, because I don't actually like it as much. And I don't know what it is, because it's a stunning bracelet. You see this thing, you're like, wow. I mean, it's a $200 bracelet, or close to it anyway. But you look at it, and then you look at this, you're like, this one just suits it that much more. It just fits it so well. And the other one looks great, but there's just something about this one that I like better. It just fits this one better. Anyway, what does this thing cost? Well, USD with the rubber strap, I believe it's MSRP $475. Okay, you can get as low as 167 US on eBay. With the Jubilee bracelet, it's $495 USD MSRP, but you can get that as low as about 180 bucks US on eBay. Now, both of those prices are for the K version, the Malaysian version. The Japanese domestic models are much more expensive, and if you're a collector, sure, go for it. You know, these aren't expensive watches anyway, so I don't really see the point. I can't really justify myself anyway paying a lot more for a watch that's exactly the same, except a little bit of writing. I don't know of any differences whatsoever that are internal or external. I believe they're identical. One just made it in a different spot, and it's cheaper because of that. The competition for this watch and some comparisons. The most logical and direct competition would probably be, and you guys can argue about this, the Orient Mako. But there's way too many watches out there because it's a dive watch, and they're all, you know, well, not all, but you know what I mean. All the watches that look like this with the bezel, you know, the bezel insert, they're all kind of an homage to the Submariner, or maybe even the Blancpain 50 Fathoms before that. You know, but it's been so long, and everyone's making sort of their own sort of style with this. So there's just so many watches to compare it to. Now, there's endless aftermarket parts, like I said, for this watch. Just endless. So if you want a watch to make your own, you cannot go wrong with this. A lot of people say, oh, what should my first watch be? Or, you know, I saw on one of the forums, oh, my daughter wants her first kind of real watch. You know, what would be a good choice? And everyone's chiming in, and no one said the SKX. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's the obvious choice. You know, let her get excited about it, and let her just go nuts and research and change it up and work on it. I don't mean the insides, but you know, mod it out and get her really excited about just the whole process and watches in general. And no one said that. It really shocked me. The overall impressions of this watch and the value, it's excellent value. You cannot go wrong with this watch. The versatility between dress and diving with this watch, it's fantastic. It's a robust movement. Like I said, it's got that Dia-Shock in there. Comes with the Hardlex crystal. You know, any competition, at least as good as this watch, is much, much more expensive. Except, of course, probably the Orient Mako. You know, that's a very loved watch as well. Like I said, endless selection of parts for all you modders out there. For me, this is a definite keeper. And I would say this is a necessity for any self-respecting watch nerd. You guys chime in any of the comments. Anything you'd like to see. This was Gassy Jack Gear Reviews. Like I said, please subscribe to the channel so it can grow and bring you more watches and more gear. Take care, guys.